Alright, ladies and gents, jumping from one one reaction to another, it's time for the penultimate chapter of Kaiju number 8. And the next chapter we get will be the last one. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Qushu 92 here, and welcome to the penultimate chapter of Kaiju number 8. And the next one will end the entire series. I feel like I just caught up with this series only to be told that there's only 3 chapters left before it ends. It's my fault for getting started so late, but all the same, I've been enjoying this story nonetheless. And the last chapter we got was Kafka finally landing that final hit on the core of the Meireki, and essentially destroying its original core, and its body apparently imploding and also screaming loudly at the same time. So let's see what happens in chapter 128. And it shows Kafka completely, and mind you, the Meireki try to create a smaller body in order to get at Kafka. Ichikawa came in and froze it to keep it from regenerating and restricting Kafka. Everyone lent their aid in order to make sure that Kafka could land this final hit. And it shows at the beginning, Kafka landing that final punch on the core. Shockwave emanating from this punch. The Meireki's smaller body immediately starting to crumble and dissipate. And the Meireki's body and all of its mouths screaming out in pain. I know it's not that high pitched, but it's screaming out loud. And Karasu goes, critical hit! Core heavily damaged! And it shows Kikoru, Ichikawa, Itami, everyone, all the citizens watching as the Meireki is struggling to stand. And while that's happening, the Meireki's body starts to flop over, and it looks like it's embedding itself into the ground. Its body did something, unless that's just how the view from the top. No, it's dead. Its limbs just fall lifelessly around it, and it's not moving, and it's quiet. And then Okanogi goes,
"The vital readings no longer detected. Target destroyed!"
And everyone is looking around, and everyone's cheering! Everyone is cheering, everyone's crying and happy. Mina smiling as well. The little girl that was saved by Kafka at the beginning, the little girl and mother who was saved by Kafka at the beginning of the series, they're smiling as she goes,
"Mister! Mommy! He really beat that thing!"
"The readings from the resurrected kaiju are disappearing." And then it cuts to Mina, who's taking her helmet off, and she's paying attention to where Kafka is on her feed. Kafka. And it shows Kafka essentially laying face first on the ground. And it looks like the kaiju part of him is starting to fade. Kafka! Officer Hibino! I can feel the grudge spirits fading now that they've achieved their goal. And I'm fading too, since we've melded together. I mean, I was prepared to face the music. And mind you, this is Kafka saying this out loud. The other voice was him speaking inwardly. But if I said I had no regrets, I'd be lying. Even so. And Kafka in his mindscape is underneath this wide open blue sky. And he looks over at his child self, and his child self smiles back at him. Even so, I did everything I could. Thanks to these guys, I managed to keep my promise. Because it shows that he kept his promise to be by Mina's side, and even though he wasn't in the position he thought he was going to be, fully decked out in officer gear and just as strong as Mina with that gear, he still managed to stay by her side as a kaiju. I managed to keep my promise. Mina, Ichikawa, Kikoru, Vice Captain Hoshina, Captain Narumi, Iharu, Haruichi, Aoi, the Defense Force, and the guys back at Monster Sweeper. Thank you. The rest is up to you guys. And then, while he's about to fade away, Isao! Director General Isao appears out of nowhere and just stops him. He's having a whole heartfelt moment saying goodbye to everybody, and then Isao is all like, let me stop you right there. But Isao appears and goes, no, I'm not letting that happen. Huh? And then Kafka's confused that Isao is there. Ah! Director General Shinomiya! Why are you in my head? And while he's looking, the spirits that were combined with him, he sees some other spirits as well. The Dai Kaiju of the Meireki period and the grudge that combined with me are both disappearing. Have they been freed? And then Isao says, while all these spirits are basically passing on because their grudge has now been lifted, their long, centuries-long desire to see the Meireki vanquished is now done. It's like the undead soldiers that Aragorn released after the events of Lord of the Rings. I came to thank you for the last time. Director General! And then he bows his head. I'm sorry. That darn number 9 was tougher than I imagined. Now Tokyo is a huge mess. Don't worry. It was the same after number 6. We humans have faced countless major cataclysms thought to be hopeless. And every time, we've strived, learned, refined, and forged an even stronger world. And mind you, it shows all the repair efforts of people rebuilding buildings, saving people stuck in rubble, all that comes with it. And he's not only referring to how things are done in the present day, but how things were done all the way back during the Mei era, during the Meireki era. And forged an even stronger world. We'll overcome this as well. And we will rebuild. And it shows Isao and Kafka looking out across Tokyo. Despite the devastation, there is hope for tomorrow. And while Kafka's looking, Isao goes, I'm giving you a mission. This is where the real fight starts. Help rebuild and continue to face new threats. Officer Hibino. And then Kafka, with him, just looks, and then he just holds his chest and goes, I'm sorry. I turned my heart into a kaiju core. I can't stay in this world any longer. Turn to face me. And when Kafka turns to face Isao runs up and essentially hits him straight in the chest. And as he's coughing, Kafka starts to fall away from him and goes, Take it. I don't need it anymore. Watch over everyone. And Kikoru. And as Kafka closes his eyes, we pay attention to the Meireki as its body starts to, apparently something's happening to it. The Dai Kaiju of the Meireki! It's starting to break down! All officers in the area, evacuate! And then Kikoru, mind you, while this is happening, the Meireki's body starts to break apart, literally just falling apart in chunks, and Kafka starts to slide off of its body while it's falling apart. And then Kikoru screams out, Kafka Hibino! And then Kafka's falling. And then as he falls, Kikoru looks as there's someone in the smoke, and the one to catch Kafka is Ichikawa. The one to catch Kafka is Ichikawa. Sir! Are you alright, sir?
Kafka, he been...
And before that happens, something starts to happen to Kafka's face. And both Ichikawa and Kikoru look on in surprise as the mask of his kaiju state breaks and it shows his face underneath. Isao gave his heart to Kafka so that he could be human again. Isao gave his heart to Kafka. And that's the end of the chapter. We only have one more. We only have one more chapter after this. And Kaiju number 8 is done. So here's what I thought was going to happen with Kafka. One, he was going to allow himself to die after seeing his friends all saved and the threat of Kaiju just essentially, and the major threat of Kaiju just essentially gone. I mean, there's still Kaiju in the world, but there's no more Kaiju that can create more Kaiju like number 9 did, nor are there any Kaiju that are as powerful as the Meireki Kaiju. I thought he was possibly either going to die or maybe just stay as a kaiju and still help out the defense force. But him essentially being able to turn human again, despite thinking that he was never going to be able to turn human again, after parts of his body started to stay that way permanently, Kafka gets to be human. And it's all thanks to Isao. So even though Isao got absorbed by 9, thought long gone, everyone that was absorbed by 9 and in doing so absorbed by the Meireki, he was released. He was freed, just like the spirits and grudges that held grudges against the Daikaiju of the Meireki era. They were released after it died. They no longer had a reason to stick around. Now, everything that was absorbed by these two particular kaiju have essentially been freed in every sense of the word, and Isao gives his heart away before he passes on so that Kafka can enjoy his life being human. Penultimate chapter, everybody. Okay. All right. Now, I had a feeling I was going to get through this kind of quickly because it's not as long as, me doing a One Piece reaction or even the beginning after the end type reaction. But this kind of changes things for Kafka because now he's going to be able to help out the defense force, but he doesn't need to rely on his kaiju state unless it just means that he can be human again and maybe possibly still use his kaiju state. But then again, we didn't see the spirit of the actual kaiju itself, even though it was pretty much made of an amalgamation of all the spirits that held a grudge against the Meireki. So maybe I'm probably just overthinking things now, but I believe this means that Kafka is now completely and utterly and completely human now, which means that after this perfect form of his perfect Daikaiju form is gone, I don't think he'll be able to turn into it anymore. I think he's done. This is the second series I've witnessed where someone gives up absolute power in order to bring down this final villain, and now they live out their days being essentially normal for all intents and purposes. The last one I saw was, My Hero Academia with Midoriya. And if I got anybody who is only strictly watching the My Hero Academia anime, and you're somehow here on a manga chapter of all places, sorry. I mean, you should not be here in the first place. You need to read the manga. I have the entire playthrough on my channel if you want to watch the entirety of My Hero Academia before the final season airs this October. But all it's pretty similar in this case. So now, the next chapter, which it doesn't say in the listing. It doesn't say in the listing when the next chapter is supposed to be coming out. But when I say next, I mean final chapter. The final chapter of Kaiju number 8. This will mark another series that's done now. Because I've read through the entirety of My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, What else have I read? Fire Force as well. About the only ones that are still ongoing is Sakamoto Days and One Piece that I cover on the channel at this time. So, man, it feels like yesterday that I was reading these series. It feels like it was not so long ago when I first started Kaiju number 8. I literally started Kaiju number 8 this year. And now I literally started reading Kaiju number 8 this year, and it's about to end in the next chapter. It doesn't even feel that long that I've been reading this series, but we're getting it anyway. And I have to say, before we even get the final chapter, I'll say more about it once we get the final chapter, and I'll give my thoughts on the series as a whole. I've enjoyed this. This has actually been a good series. I'm disappointed that the only Kaiju number 8 game we're getting is a mobile game, a mobile gacha game, because I'm so sick of those. But I thoroughly enjoyed the series, but I'll give my final thoughts when the final chapter comes out. But overall, the biggest threat to the Kaiju number 8 world is gone. The Meireki, the most powerful Daikaiju to ever exist, is gone. It's gone. It's dead. And Kafka has been allowed a second chance at life to be able to turn back into his human state again. And possibly never turn back into a Kaiju ever again either. So now, the only thing left is the last chapter. Now, either we get like a time skip and we show time after all this is done, or we cut to the next moment where they start to rebuild Tokyo after everything that's gone down. That remains to be seen, but we're going to have to check on the next chapter, which we don't know when it's supposed to be dropping. So it's possible that we're going on break after this, and then we gotta wait just a little bit longer before we get the next chapter, or it's coming out next week, and Viz hasn't updated it, but we'll have to see. Overall, a very good second to last chapter of Kaiju number 8 before the end of the series. And I'm actually I'm trembling with anticipation to see how they end the series. See how the series ends. I really am. But overall, it was good. And I hope you guys liked how I read this chapter for you all today. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!